So the next practice that I want to really walk you through is what I call awakening your social engagement system. And within the polyvagal theory, the most evolved portion of the vagus nerve is what we refer to as the social engagement system. It's the portion of the vagus nerve that allows us to tune into experiences of feeling connected, feeling safe, feeling competent and calm inside. And it has a lot of parallels to what Richard Schwartz speaks about in IFS with self-energy. So I often think of the social engagement system as self-energy. It provides us with a sense of clarity. It helps us feel more self-compassion and compassion for others. So when Dick Schwartz speaks about the 8 C's of the self, they're all right there within your social engagement system. And when we're awakening the social engagement system, one of the ways in, and there's many ways in, relational connection, attuning to a sense of safety, but we can also find a somatic channel in. And so what I created is this practice that traces where the vagus nerve travels in the body and really allowing yourself to connect there. So I'll invite you to start by tuning into your eyes. And this recognition that the vagus nerve goes up and around your eyes. It's one of the ways that we communicate how we're feeling to other people. And of course, that we receive what we see in the faces of the people that we care about and that we observe. So we're, the windows of the soul, right? We're communicating through our eyes and we're receiving through our eyes. And for this moment, I just invite you to tune into your eyes, to notice whether you sense any tension or fatigue in this area of your face. You might even just gently bring your hands around your eyes in a very loving way. We're not trying to make anything go away, just attuning to what you're carrying there. I've closed my eyes. You're welcome to keep your eyes open or closed. Of course, this recognition again that sometimes drawing your attention in can feel nourishing, or sometimes it might feel a little unsettling. So you just notice what helps you connect to you, what is true for you. You might even begin to explore how it feels to soften your eyes, like a gentle smile or a gentle expression of warmth. So you can think about someone that you care about, or imagine extending from your eyes a loving smile. And then you can notice, right, the subtle change in this area of your body and how that might resonate into other areas of your body. And as we continue to trace through the vagus nerve, I'll invite you to bring your attention to your mouth and your jaw. And as you bring attention here, you might include your ears in as well. So tracing the vagus nerve goes into the inner ear and all around your mouth and jaw. If you think about the ears, it's another window of connection. We hear the sound of the voices around us. And we all probably all can relate to a moment of someone calling you up and you immediately can say, what's wrong? Because you hear it in the sound of their voice, right? It's a profound communication. And then the tenderness of receiving with your ears, the sound. The way that the ears are so connected. And again, I'm bringing my hands around my jaw and my mouth. If you are someone that carries tension in the TMJ joint, right, the temporal mandibular joint here, right, just acknowledging. You might carry tension in the muscles around below the ears or around your mouth. And without making any of that wrong, it's a way of connecting in to just what's true for you. And if you choose, you might even explore how it feels just to let something go. Right? You can Yawn. You can fake a yawn until a real yawn happens. Sigh something out. Soften your jaw. You might even tighten it and then soften it to see what happens. And just as we did with our eyes, you could imagine gazing towards a loved one with a soft smile. And just noticing how you feel as you soften around the mouth, releasing tension around the jaw. You can just let your teeth fall away from each other, let your tongue soften from the top of your mouth. And how subtle release of tension in your face might once again correspond to other areas of your body. Now we'll continue our journey through the vagus nerve, going into the neck and the throat. And in some ways, we've already touched into this because we can't quite separate one part of the body from the next, right? As soon as we move into the jaw, we've greeted the neck. And you might just notice if you carry tension in the throat or in the muscles of the back of the neck, you might join me in just some really gentle movements, increasing your awareness of sensation that's here. Once again, you might sigh or yawn, just allowing the sound of your voice to be heard by your very own ears. You might notice a feeling of contraction in your throat, and you can amplify that. You can squeeze back on it. It's a way of telling your body, I'm on to you. I feel you. I sense what's there. And all of this is with choice, right? So if I'm guiding a client through this, I'm attuned. I can't see any of you. So, I'll have to trust that you're attuning. And if it ever feels like it's too much interoceptive sensation, you can back out and you can look around your space and really remind yourself that it's okay. You're safe now. Right. So just noticing what happens as you wake up to the sensation in your throat and neck. And as we travel down into the heart, our next kind of stopping point on this journey of the vagus nerve, the heart and lungs really allow us to tune back in more to the felt sense. Feeling even your shoulders, your upper chest, and your upper back. And you can perhaps see that I'm here doing some movements and waking up to what's here, what's present in these areas of your body, just letting yourself be curious. Another beautiful C of our 8 C's of the self, social engagement system. Bringing in curiosity, and the heart center is a beautiful center to explore some compassion, right? So you might even bring back in a little bit of that visualizing a person or a pet that enhances your sense of connection, maybe gratitude or love. Beautiful research out there about the role of loving kindness meditation and gratitude practices on vagal tone. So we're in a very strength-based way in to the self. And even with that, sometimes as we turn towards loving awareness, it can pull forth little bits of grief that we didn't know were being held in the recesses of our heart or our lungs. And if that arises, perhaps embracing that with loving awareness as well. The breath is such a wonderful way to connect into the heart and lungs. And We can also really visualize here the deep interconnection of how the heart itself is nestled into the lungs. We can't breathe without massaging the heart. And as you breathe, maybe a palm over your heart still, but maybe a palm right at the base of the ribs here, right over your diaphragm. So that as we continue to travel down experientially through the vagus nerve, we can connect to where the vagus nerve travels through the diaphragm and innervates into all of the organs of the belly, your stomach and your liver, your intestines. And what we know now about the enteric nervous system is that there is phenomenal wisdom in the belly brain, right? This is so often responding to our world before we even realize it. It's our intuition, it's our instinctual nature. And what's happening in the belly is being carried up to the brain by the vagus nerve without our even needing to be conscious of that transmission, of that communication. But when we wake up and bring neuroceptive awareness or self-awareness of what's happening interoceptively, what's happening in the body, we can work with our nervous system. We can sense when there's signals that suggest we're responding in a defensive or threatened manner. And we can also sense signs of when our body is feeling safe and settling into relaxation. One of the best ways of really accessing this lower pathway of the vagus nerve, this dorsal vagal pathway, is by settling into a sense of your own weight, your own relationship to gravity, the kind of heaviness of your body in a chair if you're sitting, or on the floor if you're laying down. So we can begin to release tension by softening the belly with each exhale, kind of letting the body be heavier, relaxing into that feeling of support. I have this wonderful yoga student who shares with me how profound it can be to remember that the floor is there, the earth is there supporting you, right? Like to really not have to always hold ourselves up against gravity. And maybe you begin to sense very subtle shifts in your digestion, like your stomach might gurgle a little bit, or you can feel some movement. And, you know, if you notice that it feels a little frightening to let go, it's really common, right? We've all have many reasons why we resist gravity, right? We resist that feeling of heaviness because what resides under there is our grief. It's what we don't have control over. It's greeting the felt sense of self. And there's a lot of reasons why many of us climb out of that. So, you know, I really appreciate the wisdom of Steve Porges, who says that we want to find our pacing even towards safety. We talk a lot about finding a well-chosen pace as we turn towards trauma, but sometimes we forget that we have to find a well-chosen pacing of safety. Because if we get too safe too fast, we can miss that sweet spot of relaxation and we fall over into collapse. So if you notice that collapse happened, climb back out, right? Climb back out and just see if you can find that sense of ease without helplessness, right? Without powerlessness. And it can take time to uncouple those two nervous system states if that's, you know, something that is present in your own nervous system. And again, compassion can really be helpful. It's one of the reasons I was running a consultation group this morning, and one of the therapists brought up in there how, when she's guiding her client into body awareness, the client says, well, I can do that with you, but I can't do that when I'm by myself. And, we speak about co-regulation, and there's quite a lot about this in the book, about the importance of when somebody else is basically lending their nervous system, right? So if you're a therapist and you're co-regulating, you're greeting, you're sharing the experience so that we can hold those vulnerable emotions or scary places, or even the tenderness of the longing for connection. And we can hold more of that together than perhaps we can hold isolated or on our own.